Howdy, everybody in YouTube land. Welcome to part 2 of our insanity. So, I want to pull this chassis out and I want to clean it. I want to get a better look at it and I want to see what all I need to do to this. So, for now, we know this CRT is weak, but the thing is, the electron gun strength on the red we know is weak. So, the red's going to be a little lower, but green and blue were okay, if you remember from the previous video. But the way the picture looks tells me that there's more to this. So, yeah, the picture's kind of muddy, it's kind of crappy, but the CRT is not dead enough, in my opinion, to cause that. So, I'm starting to wonder if we don't have some bad capacitors in here. Matter of fact, I know we do, because you can look in there and see where... Let me grab a flashlight, because my camera... Anyways, so you can see like that capacitor right there where the label is shrunken down, and you can kind of see where things are baked. That one's baked. All these caps in here are just done. So that's step one. And then I think we have a weak vertical output tube because we had a little bit of insufficient height going on, and then all of that's got to come apart. So I think I'm going to figure out what it's going to take to pull this chassis, because I'm looking at it. I'm wondering, let's see, is there like screws under here somewhere? Looks like it. Yeah, there's a screw there. And then there's a screw down there. So those come out, but the question then becomes, how do I get the rest out? Because the chassis is designed to get unplugged, because there's a plug here, there's plugs here, there's a plug there, and you can separate the tuner. But the problem is there's this trim that goes all the way around and is screwed into this, which is part of this bracket, which is part of the chassis, so that can't, yeah, that can't go anywhere. But then there's a coil here, but also this, and all this is attached to that. So I can't tell. I'd almost have to take those two screws out that are hiding right there. So that has to come out. And I think we can get this out. So let me work at this for a bit and try to get this chassis removed. So all of those screws that were in the bottom, I don't think those are the right screws. I think we're supposed to have those, but we don't have them. You know where those screws came from? I just realized something. We're missing screws there and up there. Oh, no wonder this thing felt kind of weird. So, this tuner's been out before. There's like one screw holding it in. Down there's missing. So, yeah, I just noticed that. Why didn't I notice that before? So, this has been out. The tuner's been removed. So, yeah, the mystery deepens. That is still mounted, which that has to come off in order to get the tuner out, because that's part of it. Because there's your VHF and UHF lugs. Huh. The mysteries. And I'm seeing like bread ties in there too, which that ain't factory. So this thing's been apart before. But I'm curious what for. I got the chassis out, which was a little bit painful, but I do like Packard Bell's, or Panasonic in this case, is mine to serviceability, because they got this plug and it leaves the speaker and a degaussing coil behind. The yoke is plugged in. All of this stuff is plugged in, and the chassis comes out as one piece. Now, unfortunately, that pulled apart on me, which, like I said, that thing's hard as a rock, and I couldn't get under there to remove it, so it just broke apart. There's a piece that fell down here somewhere, so chances are I'm going to have to replace this flyback lead anyways, and you'll see that in a minute. But for now, I'm taking a look at this chassis, and what I've noticed right away is, well, I've got a filter can down there that's going to need attention, but even more so over here. So I got one here, it's going to go there. I mean, there's one hiding down there. It's a recapper's wet dream. A recapicide. So I've got to clean this thing up a bit because, well, first off, I got to fish out the flyback piece that fell down in there. I don't even see it, but I know it's down there, so I have to turn it upside down and see if it falls out. And then blow this thing out and clean it up because I want to get this thing cleaned up before I do anything with it because it is absolutely filthy and nasty. Man, it's bad. Flavor country. Let's grab a little bit, nothing crazy. Just gotta make sure to dry this thing out thoroughly right afterwards and spray the pots so we don't lose anything. So here we go. This to heat up. Try not to get it into the flyback because that would be very bad. So much for that. Now look how nasty this is. Very nasty. Now, I wash boards like this all the time, and I don't have any problems. You just have to dry it out fast. You can't let it sit. You just can't power it up for a many thousand years. Alright, that's enough of that. I don't know if this was a good idea or a bad idea, but we about to find out. Because I had to wash down all of that flavor country. So, out of curiosity, what in the world capacitors are those? I have no idea. I mean, these are polystyrene capacitors. I know what those are. But then you have these. Then you have these. I'm just curious. I don't know. I really don't know what they are. Outside of the what those capacitors are, I have no idea what they are. It's been a week, so this thing is completely dried out. I also took out the rectifier tube because it did get a little bit wet in here, especially up where the socket is. So I pulled all that out, you know, disconnected all this, dried it all out, used the heat gun to just kind of warm everything up a week or so ago, and I just let it sit. So I did spray out immediately after the bath. I sprayed out the potentiometers for the adjustments up here. I still have to do it back here, but it's not that big of a deal. They're not going to damage them. Just getting wet one time is not going to hurt it. You should have seen how wet that Sharp TV was I worked on in a previous video. That thing was been sitting outside for a year in the rain, or longer actually. I don't know with its former life, but anyway, so at this point I need to order the parts. I got to figure out what some of these actually are, and I need to order the parts. But the unfortunate circumstances are the economy is really starting to catch up to me, especially in my industry, and I'm having financial constraints at the moment. So I don't have the extra disposable income to order the parts right now. I'm going to have to push that off until a later date. But I do want to get a video out on this. So I want to wrap this one up. But before I do, I want to add one more thing to this video before I release it and we move on. So let me go grab that right quick. And that is this guy right here. A Colorama picture tube. Now, this is a 15 AEP22. Now, that is a 400 CLB22, which, yeah, there it is. Made by Panasonic, Matsushita. But it's a 400 CLB22, so they're not exactly the same CRTs, at least in part numbers. And we saw that, according to the documentation, that nothing subs for this CRT. Now, the reason why I went after this is because, one, this was on eBay for a long time. And you could tell because this thing is full of cobwebs. So it's been around a while. So I threw in, I wanted to do a quick comparison, you know, in the data sheets for this to see how they line up. There are some differences. Probably not enough to matter, but there's a few. But since this is new in the box, new old stock, I figured I'd jump on it just to see if I can make this thing work. So, now, this particular picture tube is new in the box. I don't know if it's a rebuild or a new old stock or what it is. But yeah, it's been someone's barn find. So this particular picture tube, we've got the paperwork here. Warranty. I wonder if it's still under warranty. Probably not. So there is the CRT, the picture tube. And you probably notice a problem right away. One of the differences. Now, the neck girth here and the electron gun, this is a Delta gun tube. And the electron gun girth of the neck is exactly the same as this. Also, the pinout is exactly the same. So if we pull this off and we look at that, there's the focusing anode, which is over here on the left-hand side, just like it is over here. So we have a match in that regard. Now, here's where the differences lie. One, I think the diameter of this tube is slightly smaller. So what I'm hoping for is that, yeah, the bolt patterns may not line up, but I'm hoping the face of the tube, there won't be a gap in here. There might be, I don't know, but I'm hoping not. That's number one. But the perhaps more apparent problem you probably noticed right away is look where the anode cap connection there is. It's on the side of the CRT. Well, on this one, it's right here. So this is probably the top of the tube, but because the focusing anode is on this side, which is where it has to be here, that's going to put the anode cap right there on the bottom instead of over here on the side where it needs to be. Well, that is not that much of an issue. That means I've got to reroute this high voltage lead, which I got to replace anyway, so I'm going to run a new one down and on the bottom. I just hope it doesn't interfere with anything down there. We might have to make some modifications. But perhaps worse is right here. If you look up underneath here, we have the DAG ground. Well, the DAG ground is going to run right where that anode cap is. So we're going to have to figure out how to reroute this ground away from the anode. So I might have to come down with it a hair, because we've got a string here. So I might have to take the anode, or not the anode, but the DAG ground, and just go straight to here with it. So it runs across this way, wrap it around. I don't know yet how we're going to do that. I still have to figure that one out. But the most important thing at this point is I need to test this CRT. I need to see if this picture tube is actually any good. Because if this picture tube is not any good, then I got to file a claim on eBay and, you know, try to do the returns process, get my money back, or whatever the case is. So the reason why I want to do that now is because the project's going to sit for who knows how long, because the issue at this current moment in time is the situation with disposable income. So let me go grab the tester. Alright, so let's figure out which one of these sockets it is, because I've got two of them that are this. Oh man. Since this is a 15 AEP 22, it's probably in my little booklet. Just taking a guess kinda sucks. So let's see here. I can't open this with, I need both hands. Well, that was easy. First page. 15 AEP 22, 6.3 normal, socket 9. Okay. So 6.3, turn you down. Bias normal, socket 9. Which means it goes right here. Alright, perfect. Let it warm up here. 6.3 volts. No shorts. Set gun balance. Wow. Red is bring you down. Green, blue bring you down. Wow, that's insane. Yeah. That's what a new old stock CRT should test like, ladies and gentlemen. At least I know what a new CRT tests on this tester. That's insane. See if we got some glowage. Yeah, and that's a dark glow too. That's much darker glow. That is a much darker glow than the CRT that's in there. This thing is extremely bright. You can see the filament burn off. It's really bad. Alright, that's exactly what I wanted to see. This thing tests very hot right off the rip. So this thing is new, never used. It's definitely not one someone shoved in a box, because that does happen. So we are good. Let's see what's the life test like. Oh yeah, that's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. That's holding strong. That tests a lot better than the 12 LP4 that's in my Zenith. So, yeah. Okay. Alright, so we can go ahead and mark this one as good. I don't have to do any claims or anything with eBay. And I can put this aside for now. So, I know this CRT is going to be a little challenging to use. But the most important thing about the entire project is the fact that this has the right electron gun. It's a delta gun and has the right girth. So I can use that yoke and convergence coil stack on that tube. What I don't know is if the length of the yeah, it would have to be. It's going to be about the same. Yeah, so there's just the issue with the diameter, but that's not a big deal. So anyways, I think I'm going to stop it right here. I'm going to have to put the project aside because of financial constraints at the moment with the situation I have right now. I don't have the disposable income at the moment because my bills and my expenses are running about, my expenses and income are running about neck to neck at the moment. So I'm going to have to put it aside and work on the next thing. But at least we're in a good spot. We have the ability to fix this project because now I can put caps in it and not have to worry about a dud CRT. But it looks like it was made in 52nd week of 1669, if that's what that is, which puts it right in the same category that this thing was made, within weeks of each other. So we're good there. Anyways, if you like this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe and all that fun stuff. And until next time, guys, thank you for watching.